I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus every day, 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
Every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before. So says one of the popular choruses we sing. But is every day with sugar as sweet as you would want it to be? Perhaps it is, perhaps not. As we continue our discussion on diabetes and diabetes awareness, we have in set here Desmond Croker. He is a diabetic or diabetes care and educational specialist. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. It's your first time on JC 24/7.
That's right.
Yeah, where have you been, sir? Where have you been? All right. There's always something about diabetes that I think draws the attention of so many people, and we can never talk enough about it because I think it affects a lot of people in Trinidad. Do you have any statistics as to how many persons are affected by diabetes even as we speak right now?
Okay, according to the International Diabetes Federation 2017 statistics,
Right.
we have over 140,000 persons in Trinidad.
And Tobago or Trinidad?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Trinidad and Tobago with diabetes. But as I was leaving home this morning, the president of the Diabetes Association was on TV6, not TV6, CNC3, and he was talking about the statistics, and I would assume that his one was more up to date because mine is since 2017, and he was saying it's about 180,000 persons. So we have increased from 2017 statistics a whole lot.
So is it ever increasing every year?
Yes, it is increasing every year. It is increasing every year.
Wow. So chances are there might be more than what he has reported.
Exactly. Right? Because by the time those statistics are accumulated, we have...
Who are the persons that are susceptible? Is it young people? Is it senior people? Is it male, female, or is it everybody?
All right. Now, before, at one time, we used to classify diabetes into two categories. We call it juvenile diabetes and adult onset diabetes.
Right.
All right, where there is that first type where children mostly would get, and so that type is mostly among children.
Right.
But then there's the adult that will get the other type. Now, because things have, those borders have been eroded, all right? We now have a lot of children getting the one that adults used to have, right? And we have a lot of adults getting the one that... So we have changed the
definition.
Not only the definition, but the name we give it.
Okay.
So we just say type 1 or type 2.
All right.
Type 1 diabetes is where the body's immune system would fight against the pancreas, destroy the cells that are supposed to be producing the insulin, which is to help the sugar to be escorted into the cell for energy. So that happens with type 1. The cells are destroyed. There are no cells to produce insulin. And so that person now has to use insulin, has to inject insulin in order to get energy in order to survive.
Right.
Now, the good thing about that is only between 5 to 10% of the diabetes population with that type 1 disease.
Right.
All right? The big man is type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Type 2 diabetes, between 90 to 95% of the diabetes population come under that category. All right? And as I was saying before, while before it was only the adults we have a lot of children, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, coming down with type 2 diabetes.
Oh.
So we're moving away from juvenile onset.
Okay.
All right. So we now have type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is what we call insidious onset. It develops over years. Over years. Actually, from childhood, all right, some of the activities and some of the things that we feed our children is what contributes to them eventually developing diabetes, the type 2 diabetes. So type 2 is very slow and sneaky. It sneaks up and sneaks up on you. Whereas type 1, it's sudden.
This might sound like a ridiculous question, and this is not to insult the intelligence of our listening audience, but to put things in perspective, what really is diabetes?
Okay. Now, when people hear diabetes, the next word that comes to their mind is sugar.
Right. You have plenty of sugar.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, sugar.
But I always shock people when I do presentations to tell them that diabetes is not about sugar.
That's amazing.
Diabetes is not about sugar.
But I have to change the name of the program. You know what the program is? Weakness for sweetness. All right. It's not about sugar. All right.
No, because if it was about sugar, we need sugar. Right? Our body needs sugar for energy.
Right.
That is the only way. That is the body's preferred method of producing energy. Actually, for the brain, the body needs sugar. All right, glucose in order to function. The brain needs glucose in order to function properly. All right, we get sugar from fats and proteins, but the brain needs sugar from carbohydrates in order to function properly. Now, where was it?
The definition.
Yeah. So, we're saying that diabetes is not about sugar.
Right.
Once we eat our food, the sugar is to make energy.
Right.
The problem is the sugar needs to get into the cells of our body in order to make this energy.
Right.
Now, it can't just walk into the cells.
Right.
It needs an escort.
Okay.
And that escort is something we call insulin.
All right.
Insulin that is produced by the pancreas.
Right.
Now, with diabetes, there are two things that can happen.
Sure.
Either there is not enough insulin produced by the pancreas.
Very well.
Or the insulin is produced, but it's not connecting with the cells to make that escort.
Okay.
All right.
Something is hampering it.
Something is hampering the insulin from connecting with the cells.
Okay.
To make that facilitation.
Okay. What are some of the factors what are some of the obstacles?
All right. Now,
for the connection.
Now, when there's that obstacle, we call that insulin resistance.
All right.
And the thing that would be creating that obstacle is fat.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Fat would be, and so because of the fat there's no connection. Okay.
Now, I hear what you're saying, that the body needs sugar.
Yeah.
But is there such a thing as too much sugar for the pancreas for the insulin that the pancreas produces to break down, to send to the body cells?
No, because you find that if you don't have diabetes, children, right? When they eat a lot of sweet, what happens? They become hyperactive. Right. Just that because the pancreas sends the insulin out, the insulin sends the sugar into the cell, and the child gets a lot of energy, and they're around the place, they're running about the place, and things like that.
Okay.
But so I won't say that there is. Well, yes, there's too much sugar, but the too much sugar will not be the cause of the diabetes.
Okay, I take that point. Right. I take the point. But you still would advise that parents give their children as much sweets as they want.
Right.
You wouldn't advise that.
Right, that's right.
Because some of it is
so that would be too much sugar, yes.
Right.
But to relate that to diabetes, a lot of people say, oh, when you eat a whole lot of sweets and cakes and so on, you will get diabetes.
Right. Okay.
No, that is not, there's no guarantee
All right.
that you will get diabetes.
Okay.
Although it increases your risk of developing, because you're pressuring the pancreas to be producing insulin to facilitate this.
So I take it that one of the obstacles could be fats.
Yes,
Is that correct? So persons who are obese are also susceptible.
They are,
to diabetes.
Yeah, because the fat will now prevent insulin from taking sugar into the cells. So if the sugar can't get into the cell, it remains in the blood, and then it gets high.
Therefore, one of the ways to reduce that, well, to get rid of the obstacle is to eat less fats or less fatty foods and or exercise. Am I correct?
No, yeah, that is one.
Right.
But then the sugar, we want to eat less carbohydrate foods as well, because the carbohydrate foods, the sugar that is left there also turns to fat. Yeah, it also turns to fat. So sugar that you take in that you don't use up, remember the sugar turns to energy. When you don't use it up, it turns to fat.
Why should I be mindful of diabetes? When I say mindful, why should I be careful not to contract or to get the condition of diabetes?
All right. No, diabetes is one of those diseases that affect you in so many ways.
Right.
No, we're talking about a disease, something that is affecting our blood.
Right.
There's nowhere in our body that blood don't go. So if you have a condition that is affecting the blood, it means that anywhere blood goes can be affected.
Right.
Because, so you have persons that have diabetes and end up with amputations because the high blood sugar will impede circulation. All right, you have people end up being blind.
Right.
Because again, due to impeded circulation, they develop things like cataract and glaucoma and things like that. We have stroke, because again, the brain the circulation to the brain is impeded, and so the brain can't get the nutrients it needs, and you get heart attack occurring, kidney failure, you have erectile dysfunction, all right? Quite a wide range of things occurring. People having problems with digesting the food, the stomach, right? The blood supply to the stomach is impeded. You know, so there's a wide range of things that can occur as a result of developing diabetes, and of course not managing it properly. So it's very important that we try to avoid reaching to diabetes. And then,
well, you've said a lot so far, and we still have so much to talk about. I would want you to share with us what are the relationship, or what is the relationship between diabetes and stroke, and diabetes and hypertension. When you come back, weakness for sweetness is our subject for today. To come back, I hope you're weak enough to
All right, if you have chronic high blood pressure, you face a dramatically higher risk of heart attack, stroke, heart failure, kidney disease, and even death.
We continue to recommend that people with diabetes and at risk for diabetes get at least 30 minutes of aerobic exercise on most days of the week.
Some health news for you now. Obesity is rivaling smoking as the top cause for certain kinds of cancer.
The issues of life is the blood that's, of course, being pumped by the heart. And when our heart stops, we stop.
We all need to make better choices when it comes to our lifestyles. So from Saturday 23rd to Thursday 28th of November 2019, the Diggle Martin Seventh-day Adventist Church invites you to transform your health. Come. Hear Dr. Deborah Williams, a naturopathic doctor who reversed her own cancer and specializes in nutrition and preventative medicine.
Anything that goes into my mouth must promote health, not destroy my health. And that's why I went so drastic and so aggressive in saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to go cold turkey, and I'm going to change my diet and build back my immune system.
We will also have cooking classes for diabetic, hypertensive, and cancer patients. So what do we say? Come to one of our free health consultations and transform your health, and it'll transform your life.
Hey, you came back. You did have a weakness for sweetness. Well, we're discussing the whole question of diabetes, and the last time we broke, or when we broke, we were talking, Desmond, on the whole association between diabetes and hypertension and stroke and stuff like that. I want us to go into a little more details about how do those two relate. Let's start with the stroke issue.
All right. Now, diabetes and high blood pressure, they are very good friends.
Okay.
Very good friends. They don't like to operate without each other.
Okay.
So if you have high blood pressure, hypertension, look out. Diabetes is coming.
Okay.
If you have diabetes,
wow,
look out.
As simple as that, eh?
Yes.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Wow.
All right. So, but again, you can delay the onset of the other friend if you put things in place to keep things under control. All right? But so when these two friends come together, they create a whole lot of havoc in this system. Because we're talking about the sugar in the blood, all right, moving around, but now it's moving around at a higher pace with high blood pressure. All right? So they work together to mash up the whole system. All right? And so one of the places where it affects is your brain, leading to a stroke. All right? Now, there are two types of stroke. We have what we call the ischemic stroke, where there's a blockage, all right, in the blood supply to the brain. All right? It could be due to a clot. It could be due to the increased sugar intake. Or you can have what is known as a hemorrhagic stroke, where there's a rupture of the blood vessel in the brain, and that bleeding is what causes. All right. Again, that rupture could be caused as a result of the high blood pressure. If you have a hose, water running through a hose at the pressure. All right. So, so one of those two things could be happening when you have a stroke. And we're saying that these two friends is what would come together to do that kind of thing.
Is there a way that a person can find out of himself that a stroke may be coming on?
All right. Now, before I respond to that, I want to emphasize that you want to not wait until these things start coming on. You want to focus on preventing it from coming on. Because the thing is with stroke, it happens so suddenly, right? The things just start evolving and occurring so suddenly. So some of the things that you might start noticing is sudden numbness or weakness on one side of your face. All right? You could have trouble speaking. So you're trying to say something and you know what you want to say, but it's not, your mouth not opening to be able to say it. Blurred vision occurring all of a sudden. All right, now with diabetes, you can have blurred vision, but that, again, is insidious. But all of a sudden, you're saying, okay, and just suddenly blurred vision. All right, unable to swallow, dizziness. Right, all of these are signs that a stroke is coming on.
If those signs are coming on to a person, is he conscientious enough to know, hey, this is coming on, or is it that his mind is already affected negatively that he's not able to perceive that these are signs of a stroke?
No, they are they are conscious enough that these things are coming out.
Right.
But then to be able to communicate what is happening, that's where the problem is.
So it's important that other persons know.
Be able to recognize these things.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So to be able to, the problem would be them being able to communicate it.
Provided, of course, they are in the company of the individual.
Exactly.
That's another factor.
Right.
You know,
so they might be able to, remember it's only one side might be weak. So the strong side might be able to and say something.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
And so in that way, but to really be able to say what's happening, that might be a challenge.
Okay.
That might be a challenge.
So, sorry. So it is very unlikely that a person will develop a stroke who has not been diagnosed with hypertension. Is that correct to say?
No, that is not correct to say. All right.
Good.
because one of the most of the times people are diagnosed with diabetes or hypertension when these things occur.
Right.
All right. Because before that, everything is okay. You know, I don't feel sick.
Right.
All right. So people don't feel sick, and so they don't see the need to do the checkups. And as we are on that, only recently, from last year October, I started working with some people with diabetes, helping them to understand self-management of the diabetes. Now, one of the criteria was that you had to have diabetes, and so we did the screening at the beginning. One of the clients did not have diabetes, but we discovered that there was something abnormal in one of the blood tests. When we investigated further, we sent her for ultrasound, only to realize that she was developing cancer of the kidney. Now this girl is up and about. She just, because she would have heard it, and she just decided that she's going to come and join. I said that to say, we shouldn't wait to, well, of course, they were able to work fast enough to remove that one kidney, and now she is able to be cancer-free. But the thing is, if she didn't come to do that checkup, she wouldn't have known anything until things would have gone worse. I'm saying that we need to get into the habit of doing our checks, all right? Doing our checks so that we can preempt these things.
What are some of the risk factors? And we're coming back to the whole question of diabetes.
Yeah. Now there are risk factors that contribute to diabetes. A lot of times we say that these things cause diabetes, but we don't know what causes diabetes, all right? But there are some risk factors that we have control of, and those that we don't have control of. Those that we don't have control of, for example, just getting older puts you at risk for diabetes. Just from the time you're 40 years of age, you are at risk for diabetes. Certain ethnic groups, being a part of certain ethnic groups put you at risk. And that means that is everybody in Trinidad. All ethnic groups in Trinidad fall under those ethnic groups.
I'm not going to say which one, but
all right. Then diabetes runs in the family. If it's in your genes, yes. Those are things that we have no control over. But then things like being inactive put you at risk for diabetes. Like not being careful about what you eat and how much of what you eat. All right, your diet puts you at risk for diabetes. Women with polycystic ovaries is at risk for developing insulin resistance. We talked about where there's a blockage preventing the insulin from impacting the cells. Right. So women with polycystic ovaries will eventually develop that. And so that is one risk factor. There is what's known as metabolic syndrome, where you go to the doctor, do the blood test, your triglycerides are high, 150 and above. That is along with the good cholesterol, what we call the good cholesterol, that being low,
Right.
high blood pressure, along with a large waist circumference. For men, if your waist is more than 40 inches, for women, if your waist is more than 35 inches, that combination is what we call metabolic syndrome.
Right.
And metabolic syndrome would lead to insulin resistance,
Right.
and insulin resistance lead to diabetes.
All right.
Right. So those are some risk factors.
And so I suppose you include those who are obese when you talk about the weight and stuff like that.
That's right.
Right. So we would want to manage our weight.
That's right. We want to.
Therefore leads to the whole question of exercise.
That's right. It goes right back. Well, exercise and diet.
And dieting. Proper dieting.
Not only that, rest as well.
Okay.
Rest as well, because when we don't get enough rest, we tend to eat more. All right, and of course that will lead to we won't be exercising.
Right.
All right. And so we have the whole thing coming back.
And I suppose one of the reasons you find a lot of persons do not pay attention to some of these lifestyle changes is that they may not see immediate relationships or a relationship between exercising and prevention.
That's right.
Because we think we are not susceptible, and we have not exercised for a few months, and we still are walking free. We are still walking free of any disease, supposedly. And then when we are told, maybe a little too late, that there is a relationship, it's perhaps something that catches us by surprise. So it's good to emphasize that in relation to what you just said, because if the risk factors would involve having this wide waist
circumference, right?
tires, that we call them, then we should bring it down. And of course, as you said, making sure that we do not consume foods that contribute to having high fats in our bodies and stuff like that. Then how do we educate the population? Because having a program like this is good, but in terms of making them more aware every day, what do you do? Because you said you are you have several seminars. What some of the things you would teach the young person and the not so young person in terms of managing their health?
No, because we have. But when we looked at the risk factors, I'm sure that everyone in Trinidad can identify with at least 3 risk factors.
Right.
At least 3.
Wow.
Right. And so that alone should make you want to be aware.
Okay.
But then once we get to that point, we need to first of all get to the point where we recognize that we are at risk. And as we look around, we see people, our relatives, being coming down with these conditions. We need to get to the point where we recognize that this thing can be avoided, this thing can be prevented. I don't need to get this, but I am at high risk for getting it.
Okay.
So you want to do whatever you can do. When we talk about the modifiable risk factors and the non-modifiable ones. So we can't do anything about the non-modifiable ones, but they're the modifiable ones that we want to focus on. So we want to be careful with our diet. Now, when it comes to diet and exercise, there's no one size fits all. All right? But generally speaking, you want to focus a lot more on your what we call the complex carbohydrates. Your carbohydrates that have a lot of fiber in it.
Okay.
All right. How much of that you're taking is based on things like your activity, things like what's going on in your environment. And that is where we need to have that one-on-one talk. So we can sit down and talk about that. Again, for exercise, what you do for exercise is based on your ability. Based on your ability. All right. Nobody should say to you, oh, you need to run faster or you need to walk faster. But it's based on your ability. But again, we need to sit down and talk about what you can do.
Beautiful.
And what you can do.
Beautiful. Finally, Desmond, and we all out of time. You are a Christian, last time I checked.
That's right.
Why would God want us to pay attention to our bodies with respect to diabetes? I may be asking the obvious, but put it in perspective, because we want to see God in the whole question of managing our health.
That's right.
Why, in a few moments or few seconds, why would God want us to pay attention to it?
Well, in Jude 2, God says that He wish above all things, above even going to church, that we be in health.
All right.
Right. That we prosper and be in health. And so he would expect that we would do whatever is necessary. All right. When God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, He said to them, if you would only follow my statutes,
right.
All right, I will not bring these diseases that were on the Egyptians on you.
Right.
And if we look at what the diseases of the Egyptians were these same cardiovascular diseases that we are discussing here this afternoon.
Okay.
All right. So God said to the children of Israel, we want to avoid the lifestyle of the Egyptians.
Right.
All right. And once we follow the lifestyle that God expects of us, God says that He will avoid these diseases from coming upon us.
Desmond, thank you so much for sharing, if only an excerpt of your experience and your knowledge with us. Weakness for sweetness. Well, guess what? It is so sweet to trust in Jesus, trust in His statutes, trust in His word, trust in His will for your life. And you will not only be sweet, but you will attract others to Jesus. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us on JC 24/7. See you next time.